Welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn more about Cakewalk. If you haven't watched the first video, I will recommend you watch the first video and then come back to this video. I'll put the link of the first video in the description, or you might even see it come up at the top right corner. In this video, we will learn about some more features in Cakewalk and how to go about them. I'll press B on my keyboard and then I'll press I on my keyboard just to bring up my browser and my inspector. First, let's talk about adding effects to your tracks. On the right side here, you will see this effects section. This is the on and off button for the effects. This plus symbol here, you click on it to add an effect, and then you can choose from the different types of effects that you have. I'll go for an effect that you get along with Cakewalk. Go to reverb and then you will see the B reverb 2 by Cakewalk. Now I will solo this track. You will see the plugin pop up over here. Just in case if you're not able to see the effects section, you will have to drag this out to view the effects. Now I press spacebar to play. You will see an individual button to turn a particular plugin on or off. I will turn the reverb off. Now I'll turn it on. Now it's off. You will even find different presets over here for the reverb. You double click on it. Now that you have added an effect, let's see what is an automation. At the bottom left of this track, you will see these two options over here. This one is the take lanes and this is the automation lane. Click on the automation lane. It will open up this section below it. Drag this open to open it up a little. By default, when you open the automation lane, it is set to volume. That is, if I left click over here, it will create a node. And then I do another left click over here, it will create a node on this lane. And I can left click, hold and drag it down to adjust the automation. Now what happens is, in this section the volume remains constant because it is a straight line, and then the volume starts going down. I'll show you. And then the volume gradually comes up. So that is what is an automation. Now this is a default automation. You can even set the automation to panning, for example, so that if you make an automation over here, it will pan left or right in your speakers or in the headphones that you're wearing. The volume automation is still there. To see the volume automation again, you can click on this plus symbol and it will drop that volume automation down. I can delete a node by right clicking on it. Okay, I'll just bring this up now and let's listen to the panning automation. I'll tell you some more things about the automation now. You can right click, hold and drag to select multiple nodes. You can right click on a particular node and then hit delete node. It will delete that node. You can set the type of curve that you want for the automation by right clicking on it, and then you will have three options here: fast curve, slow curve and the linear curve. I can set this to a fast curve, so it turns into this curve, and then a slow curve looks something like this. If you click this minus symbol over here, your automation will still be present. To remove an automation, you right click on the lane and then you will see an option called delete envelope. You delete the envelope. Now these are the automations for this particular track. I have also added a effect over here in the effects section. Let's make an automation for this. So I'll open up the reverb. In order to automate this reverb, you will see an option over here that says read. It's highlighted. I'll turn this off and then I'll turn the automation right on. You will even see it turn on the track. Okay. Now what I do is, I will usually see a mix knob on the plugin that I'm using. Right now this is a reverb plugin. It has this wet knob. So I can control the amount of reverb that I need by using this wet knob. What I'll do is I'll take it down to 0. Now that you have turned the automation right on, I will press spacebar on my keyboard and I will turn this wet knob up. So now you see we have created an automation lane over here. Now you can adjust the nodes to adjust your reverb. You can even change the type of curve that you need. Okay, so now that your lane has been created, you can turn off your right, and I'll close the plugin now. Over here on the lane, you will see this dotted line and then a solid line. So wherever there is a dotted line, it means the reverb is in full effect over here. And wherever there is a solid line, it means the reverb will do changes according to the automation lane. So what I have to do is I have to create a solid line over here. So I left click to create a node. I'll drag this up to this node and then I'll drag this back. Another thing you need to remember to do is turn this automation read button off because we had turned it off over here while we were writing the automation, so you need to turn it on again and you will see it highlight over here. Otherwise, if you keep it off, it will not read this automation. So now it is on and I hit play. Now another thing that you need to remember is when you have made this automation lane for the volume over here, the problem that you will get is when you open the console view over here, I click on the console view, or you can even press D to open the console view, or like I showed you before, you right click on the open space and then view and then go to console view. I open the console view and now when I press play, just watch this volume slider. Okay, this volume slider now is moving according to the automation that we made over here. Okay, so if I bring this volume slider down and I want this particular track to be at a lower level, and now if I press play, it jumps back to its original position because it has this automation lane now. So you are not able to make changes with respect to other tracks. So what you do is either you can use this gain knob over here to control the overall volume of the track. So now if this track is playing, I can bring this gain knob down to reduce the overall volume. The automation is still in effect, but this gain knob now controls the main volume of the track. Or what you can do is I can delete this automation lane. I can go on here, right click and insert an effect, or I can use the plus symbol over here. I go to dynamics and then I select Sonatus compressor. So now I'm using this plugin for an example. You can use any other plugin that has a gain knob. Now I do the same thing that I did with the reverb plugin. So I open this up so that I can see the read button and the write button. I turn the read off, I turn write on, and then I press play by pressing spacebar on my keyboard and I slowly increase this button. This is the gain slider for this plugin. Now you can see this automation has been created, and then if I raise this up, it will control the volume of this particular track. I turn write off, I turn my read on, and now I press play again. So now this is controlling the volume of this track. And what this helps me with is if I open the console view, I can now freely move this volume slider to change the overall volume of the track. It doesn't change its position. I usually use this gain knob and I use this slider to automate it. I'll delete this envelope now. I can left click, hold, drag and then hold control on my keyboard. You will see this red line on where this plugin wants to go, and when you press control you will see this plus symbol. If you leave control you won't see it. So I hold control and left click and then leave this plugin here. It gets copy pasted over here with the same settings that I've set. I had set it on Cathedral. It is having the same settings over here. Now if I want the reverb to be on multiple plugins, I will just click and drag, hold left click and hold control and then leave to put it on multiple tracks. Instead of this, I can do something called as a bus. I'll delete these for now. Okay, say that I want the reverb to be on the electric piano, on the drum kit and the bass guitar. I know it doesn't make sense to put reverb on the drum kit, but I'm just showing it for an example. So what I do is I press D on my keyboard to go to the console view. I press Shift T to full screen. Then I go to the right where my master bus is. Okay, I right click in the open space on the right side and I select insert stereo bus. You can rename this track. I'll name this as reverb. You double click on the name to rename it. I wanted the electric piano, the drum kit and the bass guitar to have reverb. I go to the effects section on this bus. I do insert audio effects and then I can add the reverb, or I can just left click drag again and then copy paste it over here. Now I'll delete this reverb on the first track. I don't need this compressor, so I'll delete that as well. On the first track on the electric piano, I will see this I and O symbol over here. It's a drop down, so you can change it to reverb. So what happens now is the signal always travels from up to down. The signal comes down and then it goes to the reverb. So as I said, it travels from up to down. It goes to the reverb bus. It travels through this reverb and then the output is set to master. So it comes out through this master over here. I can do the same for the other two tracks. I will set this to reverb and I will set the bass guitar on reverb. Now these three tracks are going through this bus, so they have that reverb in effect. So I don't need to put this reverb on every other track. So this makes it easier for the DAW to process and there's no load on your CPU. So now I'll solo these three tracks and I'll hit play. Now what I'll do is I'll turn the reverb back to master on the drum kit because it doesn't sound nice. The bass still has reverb. If I solo this, if I turn this off, you can see the difference. That is because this signal is traveling through this bus and they are linked now. Now let's see even more in detail. At the bottom here, if you drag this bus pane up, you left click and drag it up, you will see these four tracks. These are the same as these four tracks. These are the buses. And you will also see this reverb bus that we just created. These three tracks are linked with this bus. Now you can create an automation for this bus for the reverb. I do the same thing. I click on right, I turn off read, I open the plugin up, I bring this wet knob down and then I press play and it creates an automation. I turn right off, I turn read on, and now you have an automation for this bus. So now it will make the changes in these two tracks. Since the bass guitar and the electric piano, they have their outputs set to this particular bus. Now since I have this right turned on over here, it shows me these red marks over here. It indicates that this particular parameters can be automated when the right is on. So okay, I'll turn this right off, I'll turn this read on. So now when I play from this part, the reverb comes in. And now if I turn the read off on this bus, it won't play the reverb. I'll now delete this track. I right click on it and then I hit delete bus. So now while we are here, you can also automate the volume on the master bus so that you can control the overall volume of the whole track. Next, let's talk about moving tracks around. Now to move tracks around, come to the right side of the track and then you will see this double-ended arrow. You left click, hold and then drag. you will see this yellow line, that is where the track will get placed. I leave the left click and the track gets moved to that particular position. Then we have this button over here. This is called a freeze button. If I hit this, it converts this MIDI into audio. So I hit freeze. This particular track has been converted to audio. Now what I'll do is I'll right click on this track. I'll select insert audio track. Since this is an audio track, I can just left click hold and drag it to the audio section. I'll solo this track. Now you can do some effects with this track. What I can do is I can left click, hold, and then left click again to trim this part. Now this is a separate part and this is a separate part. I will drag this down and then I'll go to process on the top, apply effect, and I'll reverse it. So now this creates a reverse effect. I'll just left click, drag, and adjust this. I'll bring this closer so that it is in time, and then it creates this reverse effect. I'll solo these two. You can use this freeze button on most of the tracks because it reduces the load on your CPU. Otherwise, you can also use it to play with audio as per your needs, because you can do a lot of changes to audio compared to MIDI. So now I'll hit Ctrl Z to undo everything I did. You can even unfreeze this track back to MIDI by just clicking on the unfreeze button. Now on this track, I have this sound over here. It's a clap and I want to make this particular clap longer. Now I use Ctrl plus Shift on my keyboard and then I come to the edge of this track. You will see this arrow with a double edge on each side. I left click hold and then I drag this out. You will see that the audio gets stretched, and you can also see the percentage on the top right, which indicates by how much percentage it has been stretched. I left click hold and just drag it to the side, and I bring this one over here for reference. So it stretched it too much, so that is why it sounds that way. You can even hold Ctrl Shift and then you will see this arrow change at the edge. You bring it in, you can even make it tighter. When you drag in samples, you will not have them in the tempo that you have set for your project. So you will need to adjust the tempo for the particular sample. I'll show you another example by turning this into audio. I will stretch this out and now it will become slower. I'll solo this track and now it will become slow. So it has become slower. You can make it faster by squeezing it together. This will be too fast. Now I'll show you another way I can do the changes in the tempo from the sample that I've dragged in. I click on this sample over here. I take this sample, left click, and I drag it in. I adjust it to the start. And now if I play it, I'll solo this. I have soloed the drums and the piano. You will see that it is out of sync. So what I do is I first select the clip, and then on the top left here in the inspector you will see an option called show hide clip properties. I click on this and then I check stretch to tempo. Then I will see its original tempo set to 126. I will left click on this and now I will set it to the tempo that the sample is set to. This sample that we have dragged in is at 139 ppm. So I enter 139 ppm and now you will see it get stretched to the tempo of the project. The project is at 126 ppm and now this sample is synced to this ppm. Now if we play it, it is in time now. Now for audio recording, you right click and then add an audio track, insert audio track. This is the arm button for recording. So you arm this track for recording. You can see this meter go up because I have my microphone connected. Make sure that your input is set to your microphone over here. Mine is set to stereo. You usually record in mono. So I select either one of these, left or right. doesn't matter. And your output is selected to your master. So now this is your main record button over here. You can either left click on this button or you can press R on your keyboard to start the recording. So when I press R on my keyboard, it starts the recording, and whatever I say into the mic gets recorded. Okay, you can also drag this clip around, it will create another track. After you're done with your recording, you can turn the arm recording off. I'll delete this track. Now for basic recording, you have some more options. You will see this metronome symbol over here. This is that ticking sound that you get so that you're on time. I'll turn it off. On. So in the metronome, on this button over here, metronome settings, you left click on it. Here you will see something called record count in. I have set it to measures. This is a single measure. From 1 to 2 is one measure. From 2 to 3 is the second measure. I set it to one measure and then it is checked for recording. So now I click on apply and then I close. So now when I arm this track for recording and then I hit record over here, or I press R on my keyboard, it gave me a 4-beat countdown before it started recording. Okay, now let's learn how to add sidechain compression to the piano track. I go to the effects section, I click on the plus symbol, insert audio effects, and I will add the same sonorous compressor of Cakewalk. Now we have this here. I will turn the attack to 0, release about 160, keep the knee about 16. The ratio I'll set it to infinite. I'll bring this input down. Now what I do is I add a kick. Go to my kicks. I'll add this kick on this track. I'll hit solo. I'll bring this up so that you can view it better. I'll turn the compressor off for now. Bring the volume of the kick down. Now I turn the sonorous compressor on again. I go to the console view. This is my kick track. Rename it to kick. And then where it says sends, I will click on the plus symbol. I will select this option here that says sonorous compressor side input. I left click on this. Now when I press play on my keyboard, you will hear that sidechain, and visually you can see the sidechain going here. So I press play again. You can adjust the sidechain from this input over here. This is without the sidechain. This is with the sidechain. So this is how you do the sidechain. The other option is you can directly just click on effects, and there's this plugin that I use. It's called Simple Side. It's a free plugin. Over here you can right click and then form this curve over here, and then it just gives you the sidechain. Now I have this particular track over here with this plugin on it, and I want to use another preset of the same plugin with the same MIDI that I have over here. So I need a duplicate of this track. So for that I right click on this, and then there's an option called duplicate track. I click on duplicate track. It gives me this pop-up. So if I select events over here, it will give me this MIDI in the duplicate track. If I don't select the events, it will just give me a duplicate of this track. So I want the MIDI too. I will click on events and then I click OK. So it gave me the exact duplicate of this track. So I can make changes to this track by selecting the other preset that I wanted. To replace a synth in a track, like if I have this plugin, this Cakewalk plugin of piano on this track, I can replace it by some other plugin that I have by right clicking, and then I will select replace synth, and then I will select vital. So now the MIDI will remain intact and only the plugin changes to vital. So if I choose like this chord simple, I'll bring this volume down. When you start adding more tracks, it will start getting messy. You can right click on a track and then you can insert track folder. You can change the name of the track. I will change this to chords. You can add these tracks to the folder that you created. So I'll add this to chords. I'll add this to chords just for now. If I close this, it will close those two tracks with them. I can bring this down and it will bring both those tracks along with it. You can hide these and then you can section the drums. You can section the bass separately. Now I will solo this track over here that has these claps on it. Now I want this particular clap to be louder. So I hit Control on my keyboard. I hold the control, I left click and then I drag up. You will see this red line. So what it does is it raises the volume of only the single clip. The rest of the clips remain at the same volume. So if you listen to it now, this particular clip has increased in volume. I can do it to this alternate clip over here. Hold control and then left click, drag. If I raise it up, it raises the volume. If I bring it down, it reduces the volume. Now to hide tracks, you can right click on a track and then you can select hide track. Now the track is hidden, but it will still play the track. I have hidden the claps track, but if I play it now, it still plays the claps. So now to bring the claps back in view, you have to hit H on your keyboard and then this will show up. You select the claps track and then you hit OK. You will get your clap track back. And that's it for this video. There's a lot of technical things in this video compared to the first one. The first one was a bit easier to understand. This video had some complicated things. It will take some time to understand, but once you get a hang of it, it becomes easier. Thank you for watching. Take care and bye.